Okay, Madam Clerk, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Thank you so much. We'll now call to order the Palm Desert City Council, successor agency to the Palm Desert Redevelopment Agency and Housing Authority meeting for Thursday, February 19th, 2022. And pursuant to Assembly Bill 361, the meeting will be conducted by teleconference and there will be no in-person public access to the meeting. I wonder if the city clerk can give instruction on participating virtually, please.
For those of you on Zoom, if you would like to make public comment, please click on the raise hand button on your screen or your smartphone. If you're calling in using only the phone line, press *9 to raise your hand to speak. When called upon, press *6 to unmute your line. Please keep your comments to 3 minutes and state your first and your last name for the record. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, so we will now have roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Jonathan.
Present.
Councilmember Kelly.
Here.
Councilmember Nastandi.
Here.
Councilmember Quintanilla.
Present.
Mayor Harnick.
Here.
All present.
Thank you so much. We'll have the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilmember Karina Quintanilla and our inspiration or invocation by Councilmember Kathleen Kelly.
Thank you, Mayor. I pledge allegiance. I got muted there again. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As we celebrate Black History Month, may we be inspired to work toward fully achieving the vision we have just expressed of a country with liberty and justice for all. May we be more eager to listen to each other than to label each other. And may we be more quick to be responsive than to be defensive. Thank you.
Wonderful words. Thank you very much. Okay, is there any reportable action from closed session?
Yes, this evening there were on the closed session agenda on item number 2, the council voted unanimously to seek to amend that, to add some terms to that, and that will be available once the amendments have been done and the other party has agreed. We'll make that agreement available to anyone who wishes to see it. Thank you very much. That was the only reportable action that was taken.
Thank you. Okay, we will now move to city manager comments.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to invite Thomas Soul to provide a quick overview of some community information events. So if you can be elevated, Clay.
Good afternoon, Mayor and members of the City Council. I'm Thomas Soul, your Public Affairs Manager, and I have a few upcoming things to remind everybody about. Some important city dates that are upcoming. On February 15th, we have a Lupin Plaza Community Workshop, and we also have some important redistricting dates to keep in mind. Tomorrow, February 11th, is the deadline for submitting draft maps for consideration. And on February 22nd, we have our second redistricting workshop via Zoom. And if anyone wants to get more information about either of those or has any questions, they can visit engagepalmdesert.com and find the appropriate people to talk to. And we'll be looking forward to answering questions and providing information there. In terms of events that are coming up in the city, there's a lot happening right now. On February 12th, the Gardens in El Paseo will welcome back their annual concert series at 6 p.m. Also on February 12th, the Tour de Palm Springs in Coachella Valley will be passing through our fair city. The 12th and the 13th, the street fair will be at College of the Desert from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. On Sunday, February 13th, the Palm Desert Half Marathon and 5K Run will be happening that morning. On the 16th, Palm Desert's Public Art Documentary Film Series returns with a free screening at UCR at 6 p.m. and that will be outside. So particularly nice evening for that. And February 18th, we have El Paseo Cruise Night from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. on El Paseo. And of course, for information on any of those events or anything else that's happening in the greater Palm Desert area, please visit discoverpalmdesert.com/events. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And is that the conclusion of city manager remarks?
It is. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We'll move to mayor, council member reports and requests for action. Council member Quintanilla.
Thank you, Mayor. Reports coming from the Animal Campus, one of the committees that I'm assigned to, and I want to advocate on behalf of anyone who loves pets but can't have their own pet. If you don't have the time or energy, you can actually take a pet on a field trip for anywhere from 1 hour to 1 week. So if you don't have the time to consistently give a furry loved one, but you still miss the dopamine, serotonin, that's a good way to do it. So again, from 1 week to 1 hour. The fire stations will now be equipped, thanks to the County of Riverside, with pet ship readers. So when people, Good Samaritans, find lost Fluffy of one sort or another, they may be chipped, but if there's no way to find out what kind of chip or how to get it, it may be a very sad situation indeed. So now our fire stations will be able to provide that service to the community. And I know we did have a little bit of action with the cultural arts group, and I know that I believe staff may be on hand to address if there's any questions about the future of the arts district. That was kind of a lively discussion, but I think that may come forward at another time. But thank you so much.
Thank you. Council member Kelly, please.
I'll just feature for everyone that Monday of this week, all of us were part of a goal setting session that was highly productive. And if the future goals prioritized by the council are of interest to you, visit the meetings page on the website and you should be able to view that session. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Council member Nastandi, please.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I have a quasi call for action. As we know, on February 15th, the governor is going to amend the indoor mask mandate. And we no longer have to wear masks indoors if we're vaccinated, except if you're on public transit, you go to school, kindergarten through 12th grade, emergency shelters, healthcare settings, and state and local correctional facilities. And I'm here to see if there's enough sentiment, as I'm having so many parents reach out to me and say, isn't there something the city of Palm Desert can do to allow parents to decide whether their children should wear masks or not while they're at school? And I have told them it's not our jurisdiction. It's not even Desert Sands Unified's jurisdiction. The governor has his emergency orders and we have to appeal to him. So I was wondering if Todd, individually, you could reach out to council members. I don't need to discuss it here, to see if there would be any support to, at least as a minimum action, send a letter to the governor's office regarding having this mandate for our children in their schools. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You have any other comments? No?
No,
Okay.
thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Jonathan.
Thank you, Mayor. Lots of meetings, no reportable action. Thank you.
Well, lots of meetings, a little reportable action. I think this will be of interest to anybody who lives in the Coachella Valley or comes to the Coachella Valley, has to leave the Coachella Valley. You know, for a long time, we've had an issue on the 10 when they're on Sundays and whenever any of our festivals, our large events are over or starting. And it is absolutely clogged. And in the unfortunate occurrence of an accident, we've seen people sit there for hours. So there is going to be a bypass route on the 10 between Cabazon and Banning from Hargrave to Apache. And that is underway, of course, like all things, transportation, it's going to take a while, but this has been approved and it is in motion. So that's good news. Also, we are continuing on multiple meetings. I know Mayor Pro Tem Jonathan has been on so many meetings this week, but regarding the Cal State University campus, and we are going to keep working on that. We're absolutely motivated to do so. And today at CVCC, the Coachella Valley Conservation Commission, they did talk about invasive species of plants, and I think everybody should pay attention because it destroys the habitat for our native plants and for our native animals. So when you're buying a plant at Home Depot or Lowe's or wherever you choose to buy your plants, Muller's or Lowe's, wherever, please check to see if it is something that is native or will hurt the native species here in the valley. And that's it. That's what I've got. So we will now move to non-agenda public comments, and it's an opportunity for the public to speak out on issues that are not on the agenda for a maximum of 3 minutes. Speakers may use one of the 3 options listed on the back page and that you heard about earlier. Because the Brown Act does not allow any of the bodies that are meeting today to take items that are not agendized, we may briefly respond, but we will definitely follow up to make sure that we address your issue. So are there any, I see 2 hands for public comment. And the first one is Jared Portalesi, and you have 3 minutes, sir.
Hello, Council. Thank you very much for listening. I was here last meeting. My name is Jared Portalesi. I live on El Cortez Way in Palm Desert with my beautiful wife and my 4 children, ranging in ages from 3 to 14. I did speak last time at the City Council meeting, but I did hear that you did not get the email to see pictures to put in reference to my comments. So I hope now that you have seen pictures and things make a little more sense as I speak. I have had communication with Martine Alvarez regarding this matter. Unfortunately, the only action that's been taken was my comments or complaints have been taken to our neighbor. And basically, I was told to go meet with my neighbor and figure something out with him. And that to me is just kind of not acceptable. I didn't cause this issue. I simply bought a home here, pay taxes, and enjoy this Palm Desert city. We were very passionate about it. I do believe that it is actually, an egregious oversight on the City of Palm Desert's planning department to allow this building to be built the way that it was. As you can see by the pictures submitted, that 2nd-story addition with a wraparound deck, 2 sliding glass doors and a window that peer directly into my yard, back of my house, my pool, standing 30 feet tall. All of that to me just says I've had my rights to privacy completely taken. I have a diminution of value to my home with that structure being there. I don't know exactly what the fix is, but I was hoping that Palm Desert City was able to help with that. So far, I've got a call from Martine Alvarez with the planning department, and he says that I just need to go over there and talk with them, and maybe they can plant some trees. To me, that's not something that I think can happen. I think that the City of Palm Desert needs to be involved and try to help this matter out a little bit. I do know that this request for building this house was put in front of the Architectural Review Committee on October 8th. And that meeting was, all the members of the Architectural Review Committee were very worried and concerned about what they saw on the plans. There was comments, this is a first 2-story home in this zone, and they need to make sure that it's done right. Before anything happens, we need to make sure we have guidelines and procedures in place. The homeowner mentioned that he briefly explained the neighborhood and that the properties are sure that he was sure that the properties won't be visually affected by the 2-story building. And we are. So That meeting ended with the fact that it was not approved by the Architecture Review Committee. There was a lot of concerns, and I can't find anywhere in the city records showing that it was ever brought back to the Architecture Review Committee. I believe it was just kind of rubber stamped and allowed to go forward. I now sit with having to have 18 to 15 foot
Thank
hedge.
you, Mr. Portalesi. Your time is up. Thank you.
Thank you for taking your time today, Mr. Portalesi. Our next speaker is Elena Calamanes. You have 3 minutes.
Great. Thank you very much, Mayor Harnick, Mayor Pro Tem Jonathan, council members, staff. I just wanted to give you some considerations as you go forward with Desert Surf. My name's Elena Calamanes. I don't remember if I said that. And in regard to what Councilmember Kelly said, is Desert Surf really public? I wanted to let you know that on February 3rd, Wave Pool Magazine covered the story about the approval for Desert Surf. And in that article, the developer said that the preferred access for the wave pool will be for homeowners and hotel guests. And I'm convinced that the developer has had to also get preferred status for the timeshares that are right on that same area there, because otherwise, how could they have gotten approval and no opposition because of the 80-foot lights, hours from 6 a.m. to 12 a.m., and 7 days a week of music? And don't forget that 6 a.m. start times mean workers start arriving at 5 a.m. Noise will be constant. Pool cleaning will have to be after midnight. And you need to ask for a minimum number of public slots per day, at least 33% or more. Otherwise, it's going to be back the same as the other wave parks that are private. So I urge you to take a look at that. I also need you to take a serious look at Cloud H2O that did a review of the geotech report by Sladden Engineering. They found that that report had many particular issues in regards to the surf basin. They did earthquake analysis for the buildings, but they didn't do reinforcement for the consideration of the dynamic loading of wave motion. Water is heavy. The earthquake reinforcement that has to be vetted as things go forward. Finally, public health issues, Cloud H2O also talked about. They talked about the need to cool the water, and in their evaporation numbers, they assumed water will be cooled in the summer to 84 degrees, because higher than that, in the 90s, like water will be here, there are brain-eating bacteria that have plagued other surf parks. There's more chlorine that's needed, there's algae and so on. How do you keep a wave park that big free of dirt and dust and leaves and things like that? And they had significant recommendations in the report on how Sladden Engineering has got to deal with that. And I know I'm going to run out of time. Please take a look at the other remarks that I made. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. That diagram that Desert Surf did that says water is going to go out of the aquifer into the lagoon can't happen. It has to be treated. Water can't go from the lagoon back into the aquifer. It has to be treated because otherwise it's going to corrupt the water of the aquifer. So you can't have that type of thing.
Thank you, Ms. Calamanes. Your time is up.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for taking your time today. Are there any other requests for comment? I see none. Oh, yes, there is. I see Bruce Pointer. You have 3 minutes, sir.
Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm not sure if this is appropriate time, but I'd like to speak on 5 districts, if that's okay.
It is. It's a non-agendized item, so this is the time to do that.
Honorable Mayor, City Council, my name is Bruce Pointer of Palm Desert. I'm here to request the city's districts remain as they are. No to 5 districts. Now I have 4 representatives. They are experienced and have done an excellent job for the city. With 5 districts, I would lose 3 representatives. If that one doesn't agree with me, I have nothing. I don't want North, East, Central, South, and West to be saying my representative. I want us all to say our representatives. I'm on record as no to 5 districts. I want my city united. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you for taking your time this evening. Okay, are there any other requests to speak? I see none. Okay. Seeing none, we'll move then to the consent calendar. All matters listed on the consent calendar are considered to be routine and may be approved by 1-minute motion. Are there any requests to pull any items from the consent calendar?
Yes, Madam Mayor, if we could pull number 4, please. And also I'll be abstaining on number 11.
So, okay, so you pull 4, abstain on 11.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I'll move everything except 4.
Okay.
I second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion, a second to move the consent calendar except for item number 4. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Jonathan,
Aye, with abstention on number 11.
Councilmember Kelly,
Yes.
Councilmember Nastandi,
Yes.
Councilmember Quintanilla,
Aye.
Mayor Harnick.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0 on all items with the exception of number 11, passes 4-0 with Mayor Pro Tem Jonathan abstaining.
Thank you. Okay, so we will now go to consent items held over, and that is 4. So this is the mid-year adjustments for the fiscal year 2021, 2022 revenue and expenditures.
Thank you, Mayor. And I asked for the item to be pulled because items on the consent calendar are often overlooked. And I thought it was important for our residents and our community to know that we've got some good news here. The report from our finance director indicates a mid-year correction, meaning that as we look at the current fiscal year, which started July 1, 2021 and will end June 30th, 2022, our initial projection was for a deficit of about $7 million. We're making a mid-year correction, a positive one, that indicates we now expect to be more or less breaking even a slight surplus. And who knows, if the economy remains robust, maybe we'll even exceed that expectation. And I just wanted to thank our finance director, Janet Moore, and her team for the good news, but also for the great work in helping us get here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It was great seeing the reserves listed too. That was nice news. Are there any other comments or questions?
Wholeheartedly agree. Thank you, Ms. Moore. Thank you to your team.
Move to approve.
Okay.
I'll second the motion to approve number 4.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Jonathan,
Aye.
Councilmember Kelly,
Yes.
Councilmember Nastandi,
Yes.
Councilmember Quintanilla,
Aye.
Mayor Harnick.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Great, thank you. It's always nice when Palm Desert takes such a conservative approach, and it always winds up serving us well. So thank you very much to the finance department. Okay, we'll move to the action calendar number 16, which is a request for direction for a future request for proposals and RFP for design work related to North Sphere Regional Park. And I believe is that Eric Seha who will be?
Yes, good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. Eric Seha, your Deputy Director for Development Services. I'm hoping you can see my PowerPoint now. We wanted to give you a presentation on the North Sphere Regional Park and ask for your direction on a request for proposals. Myself and Sean Muir, our new management analyst in the Parks Division, have worked on this proposal for you today. Here, the North Regional Park was included as part of the Millennium Specific Plan and is included. There is some language that's included in the development agreement for that master specific plan there. Here, this is Portola Avenue, Gerald Ford Drive out to Cook Street. And this is where the regional park is located. It's a 27-acre park site identified for regional sports facilities. It could be inclusive of sports fields and lighting. And what we'd like to do is also use the Parks Commission, Parks and Rec Commission for additional public outreach in developing this park. The request for proposal and some of the language that we'd like to put into it for when we release this is that whatever firm is chosen to work on this, that they develop a robust public engagement plan to meet with surrounding communities to understand their needs for the park, as well as existing park like Desert Rec District to understand, what they see for needs at Palm Desert Parks. We want to report on the types of amenities that are needed that would come forward through a public engagement process, and of course provide a park design that meets the community needs. There's also a need to develop electrical landscape maintenance plans for the park, incorporate some of the design principles contained in the Millennium Specific Plan, look at different options for the park, and ultimately provide a final design for city approval. Again, we'd really like to use the Parks and Recreation Commission for additional outreach and to help through the design process. And we really want to rely on their expertise and some of the demand studies that are out there for park amenities. This process, we imagine releasing the RFP in March, vetting the RFPs in April, awarding a contract in May, and coming back to City Council the final design later this year, in the winter of this year or early next year. We've identified that we have 1.5 million funding available for design and construction. That's enough to get us through the design phase, but not to construct the full park. So city staff would be looking for additional grants and funds needed to construct it. That completes my report, and I can answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Seha? And I see Councilmember Kelly's hand.
Thank you for bringing us this thoughtful proposal. You mentioned Desert Recreation District as one possible participant in the public engagement. And we do have other existing partners who have expertise about developing recreation trends and unmet needs. I'm thinking of the YMCA, for example, and the Joslin Center, which offers significant exercise programs but has limited space. Would it be possible, consistent with what's laid out here, to embellish that first bullet point so that it explicitly refers to collaboration with all of these existing partners to tap their expertise and their thoughts about how facilities designed for the new park might enable their program expansion?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Can we add something about collaboration with our community partners? Would that be all encompassing, or do you want specifics?
Well, we can save that for the discussion phase. I wanted to get staff's input as to whether that would be consistent with what's being proposed.
Great, thank you. Okay, Councilmember Quintanilla.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Ceja, thank you so much for a beautiful presentation. I enjoyed hearing about it the other night, and something popped up right now as I was thinking about it in the context of our goal session. In looking at the proximity to the 10 freeway, knowing that that is a very heavy environmental tax, essentially, that our communities are coming in contact with. Is there anything in particular that's being done to create, not specifically what is, but what are the enhanced features to reduce the sound and CO2 and all the contaminants? And if maybe this is a place to get innovation that would possibly access grants, or am I thinking in two different directions?
I think you're thinking correctly here. As part of the park design that we ultimately look at, those things will have to be vetted and considered in the park design. How do we mitigate noise and air quality issues coming off of the I-10 freeway?
Thank you.
Councilmember Kelly, your hand's up. Okay, any other comments or questions? Mayor Pro Tem Jonathan.
Thank you, Mayor. You said comments or questions, so it's okay to comment?
Yes, it always is.
Okay. Well, we have
I'm
order
not
in
the
this
I'm not
house.
the strict rule guy here.
We sometimes need that. Okay. Yeah, look, I think the direction that staff is taking with this is really good. And what I mean by that is that it is community needs focused. You don't build a park and then figure out, does it serve the community in the way that they need? The first step is to identify, understand what the needs are, especially the unmet needs, and especially of the surrounding area, which will be the greatest user of that facility, and then design around that. And I think that's the direction staff is going in. I really appreciate Councilmember Kelly's suggestion to incorporate the involvement of other partners and stakeholders, especially the Family YMCA of the Desert and Jocelyn Center, because they, I think, have wanted to establish intergenerational programs, and this is a great opportunity to do so. And of course, to engage in as much community outreach and input as possible, starting with our Parks and Rec Committee and charging them with that goal as part of their role in this process. So I'm certainly in favor of the recommendation of staff, and I'm anxiously looking for this project to move forward. Thank you.
Oops, thank you. Councilmember Kelly.
Yes, all of the above. And I happen to be our council liaison to both the YMCA board and the Jocelyn board. So I have witnessed strategic planning by both of those organizations, which reflects considerable research into unmet public recreation needs and interests. So I will move to approve with a addition to the first bullet point so that the RFP explicitly calls for collaboration with our existing recreation partners and list those that we've discussed.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. I appreciate the ones that we discussed. We could also say PDYSA, and we could say our youth soccer, and I just want to make sure that by listing a couple, I don't want to exclude anybody. I want to make sure that this is a very inclusive process so that we get the best result.
Yes, by listing, I meant such as.
Okay. Is that an EG? Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Pro Tem Jonathan?
Hi.
Councilmember Kelly?
Yes.
Councilmember Nastandi?
Yes.
Councilmember Quintanilla?
Aye.
Mayor Harnick?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0 as amended.
Thank you so much. Okay, we will now move to public hearings. Number 17, resolution number 2022-07 to approve a historic district designation for Sandpiper Condominium Circle 2 located on El Paseo, continued from the January 27th meeting. So may we have a staff report, please?
Yes, I'm hoping Jason Finley can be elevated.
There he is.
Unmute. There we go. Hello, everybody. Good evening, Madam Mayor and City Council. I am Jason Finley, your Chief Building Official and Cultural Resource and Preservation Program Lead. Tonight, we are continuing our 2 public hearings from the last meeting to create 2 historic districts within Palm Desert, Sandpiper Circles 2 and 3. Note, Sandpiper Circles 5 through 12 have undergone the exact same process. Creating a historic district designation is necessary for property owners wanting to take advantage of the California Mills Act. That's an act that offers property tax incentives to owners who maintain their property in the unique and original condition. The cultural resources.
May I interrupt just one moment, Mr. Finley? As long as these are the same, is it acceptable to take both 17 and 18 at the same time? Since you mentioned both of them, and I think that would be an efficient way to go about that. Is that acceptable with everyone?
Excellent. Yeah,
Thank
they are identical.
Perfect.
The Cultural Resources and Preservation Committee unanimously approved these applications. Creating a historic district does not affect property owners who wish to continue to alter or remodel the residence. This program is completely voluntary. Staff recommends approval of these applications, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Wonderful. Are there any questions? And yes, there is. Mayor Pro Tem Jonathan, questions, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a quick question. Why, we've had over the years these types of applications from different parts of Sandpiper. Why don't we just do the whole thing? That may be oversimplifying life, but is that a possibility?
Unfortunately, it's not. When a historic designation comes before us, it's usually through the homeowners association. So it's up to the group of homeowners to approach their homeowners association, get their approval to place the designation, because it does place restrictions on the properties, but not every property, but just those who want to apply for these tax-based incentives.
That makes sense. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Councilmember Nastandi.
Yeah, yes, Mr. Finley, based upon Councilmember Jonathan's question, do you know how many of the, or for starters, how many HOAs are in Sandpiper? Do you know?
Oh my goodness. I'm going to say that we've done through circles 12. So I'm going to best guess that there's 12 HOAs for each. There's one HOA for each circle.
Right. Okay. And so then are these the first 2 to apply for historic designation?
No, ma'am. The circles 5 through 12 have already done this.
Okay.
We've got circles 2 and 3 tonight. I know that circle 1 has expressed interest, and so we'll probably be moving forward that later in the year.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, are there any more questions? Okay, at this time then we will open the public hearing. And would the applicant like to make any comments? And I see, oh, yes, I do see things. Okay, we have 2 people with raised hands. Can we start? Please limit your remarks to around 3 minutes. Cassandra Hearn, please.
Thank you. Can you all hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Wonderful. I just wanted to comment and say, as the president of the Homeowners Association in Circle 2, we're anxiously looking forward to today's vote. We're very excited to be able to even put together our application and join all of the other circles who have already been designated. And we just wanted to thank you so much for your time. And if there are any questions for me, I'm happy to answer them as well.
Great, thank you. Why don't we hear from the other applicants, and then we can ask questions. Paul Preston, please.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor and the City Council. My name is Paul Preston. It's a pleasure to speak before you today in support of the application of Circle 3 Sandpiper for historic status. It's been a multi-year process for us to bring homeowners online, a lot of educational outreach to homeowners, and very strong support among the homeowners to accept the designation and to improve the quality of our preservation activities. And I should just add as a point of information to Jason, in the Sandpiper complex, there are 17 circles, but 9 HOAs. So with these 2 applications from circles 3 and 2, and the upcoming one from circle 1, most of Sandpiper will end up with historic status.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions from the council for the applicants? Okay, seeing none, then we can ask if there's any testimony regarding these applications, any public testimony. And I see none. And everyone, I believe, has had a chance to speak. So we will go ahead and close the public hearing. And boy, did that hand pop up quickly. So it's time for council member comments. So Council Member Kelly.
Move approval of both items.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Jonathan.
Thank you. I'll second, but I have a comment or a question for staff, and that is occasionally we've had properties in Palm Desert, College of the Desert, the Wave House, and so forth be a part of Palm Springs Modernism Week, and I wonder if we can resume that effort and especially include some of these. I've looked at the pictures and I've been in Sandpiper and they're beautiful. So I hope there's an opportunity there for the future. Thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Kelly, we have a motion and a second. Your hand is up.
Yeah, just as a point of information, the Architectural Committee of the Historical Society has organized a tour of Palm Desert houses, which is a part of this year's modernism celebration, and it's sold out in minutes. So you can rest assured that they are on it.
Great. So we have a
Perfect.
motion and a second. And I do want to say that I have been there when they have put the plaques in, and there is a lot of passion and excitement about these historic designation at Sandpiper. It's a great model for a community, and we're happy that they've come forward with this. So we have a motion and a second. Can we have a roll call vote?
Mayor Pro Tem Jonathan,
Aye.
Councilmember Kelly,
Yes.
Councilmember Nastandi,
Yes.
Councilmember Quintanilla,
Aye.
Mayor Harnick.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0 for items 17 and 18.
Great, thank you. Are there any additional comments or questions at this time? Okay, seeing none. I just want to remind everybody, of course, it is Valentine's Day coming up, and then the following Monday after that, it's President's Day. So let's show what we're supposed to show during those days. Seeing no unfinished business, this meeting stands adjourned.
Be well, everyone. Go donate blood. They need you.
Meeting adjourned 4:59 p.m.